Yo, so before I started this YouTube channel, before I started actually posting, and a little bit after I got the idea for it and the idea of Jay's Thoughts, my alias, I got a journal. And I got it in January 2025. I ain't started writing into it until like February 2nd, 2025. I drew a little something. Jay's Thoughts for real. Anyway, I want to read a letter that I wrote. I wrote this, was it May 3rd, 2025. And this letter is called A Letter to My Younger Self / Inner Child. It goes like this. I won't neglect you ever again. I apologize for limiting and neglecting you for all these years. I forgive myself too. Life is often about forgetting and remembering. I've been through hardships and hell, and amongst these tribulations, it was hard to nurture you when I was just focused on surviving, just getting by. I had to go through my lowest low to reach where I am now, which is the highest I've ever been, the best I've ever been. I've remembered my power, our power. I've remembered your pure, innocent curiosity about the world. I remember the literal universes you created and lived in. I remember your exploration into comic books, animation, Legos, drawing, bike riding, sports, film editing, dancing, music, instruments, etc. And even in isolation, creating something from nothing. I remember you creating without limitations, creating from a pure, unfiltered wonder, curiosity, and creativity. If you imagined it, you could create it. I regret ignoring you, but I'm grateful for the lessons learned from my painful isolation and depression. I'm grateful for who I've evolved into. I'm not worried about neglecting you ever again, because this time you get a front row seat in everything I do. Matter of fact, you'll be by my side, hand in hand, wherever we go. No more turning down your dreams, turning down your play dates and adventures. No, I honor you and I embrace you, and we will work hand in hand to create the life we've always wanted and deserved. Every day is a day to play. It's time to play. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because I've just been reconnecting with my inner child, and I want to explain how that actually came about. How it came about was, so that was about, I said it was like May 3rd, so probably like May 2nd. The day before, I basically, I was just getting into bed. I was just getting into bed, just laying down, put my phone away and about to sleep, trying to clear my mind, took my deep breath, and then, laying down on my back and just looking up. And as I'm just looking up, basically, it's like my inner child, like my younger self, basically was just there. And it was this kind of like montage of my childhood that just began. It was like, basically, it was like and I could see myself, like I used to have like a big head and like big ears when I was a kid. Actually, you can probably see it on my profile pic. Actually, that one, I think that was when I was like 3 or 4, so I was younger, but especially when I was like 9, that's when it was that kind of version of me around like 9, it seemed like, Well, basically, my younger self, basically, it's like we took a trip down memory lane, and there were definitely memories that were kind of like unlocked that I didn't even remember. It was kind of a thing of like, let me see. It's like, oh, remember this? Remember that? Remember when we used to go bike riding? We were like kings of the neighborhood, just driving around or bike riding around. We used to go up the hills. Man, you knew every part of that neighborhood. It was like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Then, remember when you made Maple Campbell? It was like a little video. My family, we created of all of us dancing and stuff. It was so much fun. Nose running a little bit. My nose running. like a little kid. a little kid knows they be sick and coughing and shit. Anyway, but it was like, remember this, remember that? Remember we used to go in here? Remember we used to draw? Remember we used to do comic books? We used to draw. And around that, a little bit before that time, so that this incident, this happening, whatever you call it, was, like I said, it was around like May 2nd, something like that. Before that, that was when, like around like March, April, that's when I had like I fell back in love with like comic books again. Seemingly randomly, but when I saw the comic book one day, or I had an idea of a story, and I was thinking about, I could be a skit, or it could be a little video, it could be like a film, or actually no, it could be like, I was like, you know what, comic book. And something about comic book, it just clicked. And I was like, comic book. And for me, that was significant because I hadn't thought about comic books for over a decade. You know, for me, I was 24 last year. And literally since I was in middle school, so around like 13, 14, that was the last time, probably even before that. Honestly, I think it was around my family kind of got split up, kind of went living and had different living situations basically. But yeah, kind of forgot what I was talking about. Comic books. Oh, yeah, so this is like after years of not even paying real attention to comic books, or like not really, it's like it was a passion I once had when I was young, and I just haven't even picked up one since then, you know. So when I thought about comic books, I was like, yo, like, yeah. Actually, around that time, I actually picked up a comic. That was a comic book that kind of sparked that, actually. Anyway. But, oh yeah, so since I remembered my love for comic books, I'm like, yo, yeah, I remember I used to draw them. I literally used to draw comic books. Like, I used to want to create my own, in addition to like animation and Lego animation, stop motion, all that, flip note animation, all that stuff. But I was like, yo, like comic books in particular, I remember that. And I remember I had like my own idea of a comic book company, and I had a whole scene. I used to like, but I kept trying to remember like what it looked like, you know? And for the longest, and since I remembered all of that, I kept trying to remember like exactly what I used to draw. I was like, yeah, I used to be a guy with a jacket or something, and it was like a little, I can't remember exactly what. In that vision I had with my inner child, I could see it. I remember drawing, it was like a scene about it was like a fence, and it was a guy sitting down on a bench at a bus stop, and then something happened where somebody came out the bushes or something, and then he like so it was something like that, you feel me? Like, it was just so amazing. I was getting so emotional that whole time, yo, because it was just like, yes, I remember. It was so many, it was more than just that, of like memories that were like unlocked, to where it's like, either I knew something about it. Like I remember I used to, like for example, I remember I used to draw comic books, but I couldn't remember exactly what it looked like. He showed me. My own inner child showed me. It was stuff like that, but also stuff that I completely forgot about. They're like, yeah, I do remember that. I do remember, like back in school, we used to be on the desk, or like this one particular song, we was all laughing, and we got in trouble with it, or like just like random moments from my childhood that were like very memorable for my inner child. But for me, I guess I just forgot about, you know? And that was, yeah, man, it was very emotional for me. And I started tearing up and literally just speaking out loud to my inner child. Cause it was like, what it felt like, it was like, you know how like little kids, they want to play, or oftentimes, like they want to play, so hey, you want to go outside and play, or you want to play with the action figures, you want to play wrestling, or you want to go outside and play basketball, you want to do this and that, and but like, if the adult or whoever they're like, no, sorry, man. Like, I gotta work. Or I gotta work on this. I gotta do this. I can't do that right now. And it's like, oh, okay. You know, and the kids kind of like disappointed, kind of let down. You know, it kind of goes by themselves. That's what I realized that's what I realized what my inner child was experiencing. That kind of letdown in a way, you know, just wanting to play, just have fun and create worlds and universes, play games, have fun without limitation, you know, have fun for the sake of having fun, have a good time with each other, like, you know, and the thing is, and that hit harder for me because that's what also I experienced. That's literally what I experienced as a kid, you know. I love my family. Man, I love my sisters, man. And there's no grudge at all. I don't blame them for whatever. We always gonna do stuff. There's different phases that, you know, we went through as teens, you know, but there were a lot of times when I was younger and I wanted to play, whether if it was just a simple game, going outside to play basketball, or just throwing the football around, or just playing with the action figures or whatever, that I would ask them, they wanted to play, and it was like, no, we're not, da-da-da-da. Like, for whatever reason, like I said, I don't hold no grudge, you know. But for whatever reason, they never wanted to play, especially basketball, which was tough for me. 'Cause I'm like, dang, like, I'm your brother. Like, you don't want to play with me? Like, what the heck? Like, you know? And I remember feeling that way and appreciating those who, or when I could play with people, like when my cousin came over, or my friend, or friends in the neighborhood, you know, I know what it feels like to want to play and not have anyone to play with, you know, for whatever reason, you know, but just, you got to play by yourself. And the thing is, with that, I didn't let that keep me down or get me like sad. I just like, well, a little bit, but it didn't stop me from playing, you know, by myself. I had my own action figures and created worlds and different scenarios. I had Triple H and R-Truth and Mark Henry and Big Show and The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and Matt Hardy action figures and playing and stuff with a wrestling ring. Then I also had like my little tech deck. I made like a skate park out of cardboard and cereal boxes. You flip the cereal boxes upside down and tape the flaps to the cereal box. You could just go up and down, da da da. I had like boxes you could do like little tricks on, you know. I had my Legos. But first of all, I'm so grateful to even have toys to play with. You feel me? Like, I was so grateful. Anyway, all that to say that when I didn't have anyone else to play with, I play with myself. Action figures, drawing, little GameCube games. Let me see, I had NBA Street, Ultimate Muscle, I think, or Muscle Millennium. I think it's Ultimate Muscle. NHL Hits, hockey. I had a little SSX snowboard. Yo, like, yeah. Excuse me. But I basically found a way to play by myself. And it was amazing. And to this day, I always say, I feel like in terms of imagination, I feel like I had an amazing childhood. Because I was by myself. And just naturally, I just created these worlds and just scenarios and animations and stories and like in Lego cities. And, you know, And I enjoy every second of it, just creating, just having fun, not worried about nothing, not have to worry about bills and shit, you feel me? Like, just having fun, just creating, just, being a kid, not worrying about society, just having fun. Oh, and the carpet, or the rug, whatever you call the rug, the little, y'all know like those rugs, especially if you was a kid in the 2000s. I don't know how far back, it probably go back to the 90s as well, but especially if you was born in 2000s, or I was born in 2000, so probably like 90s and before. Anyway, the rug with the cities on it, it's like a little roads and buildings and different parts of like a city, there's like a fire station, whatever, there's a home, there's a police, whatever, man, I had my Hot Wheels car, I'd be like playing all of, like, oh my gosh, yo. Like, it was so like real. It was so real. Like, I lived in my imagination. That shit was so real. I literally created worlds to play in when the world I was in, I don't really have anybody to play with. Wow. So, back to that night. Like I said, I was just laying in the bed, and my inner child basically gave me like a montage of all these different memories of like, like imagine a kid, they just hold you, like imagine going to Disney World with your kid, and they grab you by the hand, like, oh, let's go here, let's go there, let's go this. Like, that's literally what it felt like. It's like my inner child was literally just taking me through memory lane. Remember this, remember that, da, 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 like, and yeah, and like I said, I got emotional to the point where I started tearing up and just talking to my inner child. Like, and that's kind of where those thoughts, that letter kind of came from. I kind of wrote down what I said and more, expanding on what I said. But basically, I was just, I go, I was, choked up, sniffling while I was talking. But I was just like, yo, like, I'm sorry, Like, I apologize for neglecting you for all these years. You just been wanting to play. And, but it's just been tough. And with life, freaking depression and shit, 2020, even before that, stuff going on, family getting split up, kind of having to fend for myself. I still have family, I was able to live with family, of course, but it's just different, going from having your core family and the siblings, and my mom, us being close and together my whole life, to boom, we all basically split up, circumstances, and then, yeah, and then a whole bunch of bullshit that, let me not even, anyway, it was a lot. I dealt with a lot, that kind of put my creative side to the side a little bit. All those interests I had just naturally. And I was just basically apologizing to my inner child and just saying, like, you know what, never again. You want to go on a play date? Let's go. You want to go to the park? Hey. You want to start freestyling? You want to go to the beach? You want to do whatever? You want to learn a language? Let's do it. Like, yeah, we doing it all. We doing it all. You feel me? So since that moment, I just felt so much in tune with my inner child. And it's only gotten stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger since then, And I owe it to my inner child. I owe it to myself. My inner child is me, And yeah, I'm just so grateful. I'm just extremely grateful for my imagination. And that's why I always say that I literally can never get bored. And it's always been this way. I'm so comfortable in my own mind. I'm always thinking about something, coming up with different whatevers. Lessons, reflections, stories, ideas, music, dances, choreo. Like, it's really infinite. It's a squirrel. My fault, squirrel. I'm in his little chilling spot for real. Anyway, oh, he not a player. All right, let me get up out of here for Mr. Squirrel. Kick me out this. I want to respect his living quarters. You feel me? He probably got a whole condo up in that mud. Hollow. It's a big ass tree. Anyway, that's all for now. That was my letter to my inner child, and I don't know. I just wanted to share that. Maybe this will inspire somebody or inspire you to write a letter to your inner child and be real with yourself, you know, and think about ways that you can embrace your inner child more, or you can play without limitations. Dream as big as you want to dream without the limits of adulting, you know, or what adults say is what you can and can't do. You feel me? So anyway, that's all for now. Peace.